Good morning, 7th grade math. I hope you guys are doing great on this Thursday, April the 22nd, 2021. Today we're going to be talking about solving equations, which is coming from page 440 in your book. We're skipping over to equations, which is 11.1, Introduction to Equations. Now, first of all, I want to talk to you about the word variable. Remember that variables are letters of the alphabet, okay? Most of the time you're going to see X, Y, Z, but you will see any letter of the alphabet that will represent a variable. Now, with that said, solving equations is isolating that variable on the left side. Whatever the variable is, X equals whatever the number is, let's just say it's 7. Your goal is to isolate the variable on the left side, all right? And to do that, we're going to be using various properties, like the addition property of equality, but what you're going to be doing is you're going to be doing inverse operation, okay? So what is the opposite of, let me just put it this way, opposites, okay? So what is the opposite of addition? The opposite is subtraction. What's the opposite of subtraction? That opposite is addition. What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. The opposite of division is multiplication. So if you find that on the left side, the problem is asking you to add, then you're going to subtract. And what that does is it cancels out what you have on the left side and moves it to the right side, okay? So, for example, you guys have done these before, but for example, and these particular equations are going to be using your negative and positive integers, okay? So x minus 6 equals a negative 4 plus 14. Okay, so first of all, my first step here is I'm going to simplify. So I'm going to simplify anything that I can on either side before I start moving numbers from the left to the right. Now, with that said, I can simplify this, okay? So it's very important that you continue to write your step by step, okay? So a negative 4 plus 14 is when I am adding a negative and a positive, I'm going to subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. The larger number is 14, so it's going to be a positive, and when I subtract these two, I'm going to get 10. Now, this is where we're going to use our inverse operation, okay, guys? So what is the opposite of subtraction? That would be addition, okay? So therefore, I'm going to add 6 to both sides. When I do that, 6 minus 6 or negative 6 plus 6 is going to cancel out. That's the goal, is to isolate this variable over here on our left side, okay? 10 plus 6 is 16. That is your answer. I can check that. I can come back up here and I can say the value of x is 16 minus 6 equals a negative 4 plus 14. 16 minus 6 equals 10, and we know that this equals 10, and so my problem is correct. All right, let's move on. Now, on page 441, it talks about using algebraic word problems, solving them, and we will probably work on that tomorrow. Right now, I want to focus on solving equations, okay? So let's practice a few, all right? Let's say that we have 7 plus x equals negative 16. Now, first of all, is there anything that I need to simplify here before I start bringing anything over from the left to the right? No, there is not, okay? So, I have 7 and negative 16. I need to bring this 7 over to the other side through its inverse operation, okay? And I'm just going to rewrite my problem here. Now, What's the opposite of a positive 7? Is a negative 7, okay? Because that means I'm going to subtract. And what you do to one side, you're going to do to the other, okay? So now I have x equals, I have a negative 16 plus a negative 7, okay? And you can actually write that like a negative 16 minus 7 if you want to look at it that way. And you can add a line, change the sign. So now you're adding two negatives. So x equals a negative 23. Again, you can and always should check your answer, okay? All right, so 7 plus a negative 23, you're going to subtract, and you're going to get a negative 16 equals a negative 16, and that is correct, okay? All right, let's practice it more. All right, so let's say that we have x minus 3, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a few of these odd on page 442 with you, okay? X minus 3 equals 6 minus 1. Now, there is something here that I do need to simplify, and that is 6 minus 1, okay? Notice how I'm continuing to write my steps. 6 minus 1 is 5. Then I'm going to do the inverse operation of this, which is add 3 to both sides. X equals 8. I'm going to check my problem. The value of x is 8 minus 3 equals 6 minus 1. 8 minus 3 is 5. 6 minus 1 is 5. So my problem is correct. This time, let's look at x minus 9 equals negative 3 times 5. Now, I do need to simplify. And to do that, I'm going to simplify here, okay? So x minus 9 equals negative times a positive is a negative, and it's 15, okay? Now, I'm going to do my inverse operation here, and that's going to be add 9. The opposite of subtraction is addition. X equals, that cancels. So here we have a negative 15 plus 9. Let's look at it that way, okay? So I have a negative and a positive, and when I'm adding a negative and a positive, I'm going to subtract and keep the sign of the larger number, okay? So negative 15 plus 9, when I subtract, I'm going to get a negative 6. Again, I can check my work. Negative 6 minus 9 equals a negative 3 times 5. Add a line, change the sign. When I add these two negatives, I'm going to get a negative 15. When I multiply these negative and positive, I'm going to get a negative 15, and my answer checks. All right, let's try one more. All right, so this time we're going to do 2 times 12 minus 10 equals b minus 7. Now, and actually we're going to skip this one because I'm not going to give you any with the variable on the right side right now, so scratch that, okay? All right, let's try another one. Let's do 5x minus 4x plus 2 equals 1. We may do a few more. So, in this case, what can I combine? Well, I have, remember your variables. I have a variable here and a variable here, and when you have a variable that is the same with the same exponents, you can add or subtract them to combine them into like terms. In this case, I'm going to subtract because I have a positive and a negative. I'm only going to be changing my number. You never change your exponents unless you're multiplying them, okay? Now, 5 minus 4 is 1, and technically that is going to be invisible, but we'll put it there for now. All right. Now, I'm going to do my inverse operation here, which is minus 2, x equals 1 minus 2, which I'm going to need to add a line, change the sign. X equals, so when I am adding a positive and a negative, I'm going to subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. Okay, so my answer is x equals negative 1. All right, let's see what else we got here we need to practice on before I move on here, okay? Let's just go ahead and look at m plus 1 over 5 equals 3/5. You guys remember your fractions. I know you don't like fractions, but it's okay. Now, so what is our inverse operation of addition? Of course, it's subtraction. So that tells us we're going to subtract 1/5. We're going to subtract 1/5. And technically, you can draw your line there and do your work. But so that's going to cancel. So m equals, you already have a common denominator. So you can just subtract your numerators. And your numerator is larger on top. So 3 minus 1 is 2. So your answer is 2/5. That one was pretty easy. Now, if you have any questions today, please feel free to let me know. I'll be happy to help you. And your assignment for today is, I think it's 2 through 20 even. And that is pages 442 to 443, 2 through 20 even. All right, guys. Have a great day.